BJ Nix, are you here?
Present.
Spoonie, Timothy Spoonie.
Present, sir.
Margaret and Mary. Do we have a Margaret and Mary?
Yes.
Cool.
And the margaritas.
All right. Class here. We're ready. Let's go.
Yes, let's go.
Okay.
This is the time to line up behind your team, to support your team, have faith in that team.
You know, it's peaks and valleys. You know, it can't always be good. And as I always tell people, you're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you think you are. But when we do know about
house call, Trevon Diggs, pick six. It's coming, they see it, knocked away. Oh, Gregory! Hurts in trouble. 3 Cowboys wrap him up, make it 4. Micah Parsons is unblockable.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all know what the drill is. It's Wednesday. It's 8:30 p.m. Central. You're rocking with the Pick Six Live crew. Y'all know the drill. Professor O, Spoonie, make sure I get it right, and your guy Nix. Real quick, man, we had a live fire pre-show space. A lot of great questions. A lot of great topics and previews of what we're going to be talking about tonight as well. So we appreciate everybody that came through for the space. And we do it every Wednesday. Me and Spoonie are live basically 2 hours prior to our shows on Wednesdays. Definitely come through for that. And of course, if you don't know, every single Friday, we actually have the Happy Hour Cowboys space. And then you'll come over and catch me, Professor O. You'll never know who will show up on the Freestyle Fridays as well. We had a good one last week as well. How y'all doing, gentlemen?
Just out here living my best life at Oxnard, ready for camp. Got almost 2 weeks, just under 2 weeks left before everybody else joins me here. They just put some bleachers behind me. They have some cones already set up, so we're good to go.
Yeah, my guy Sam says no need for tonight's episode. Going to get us Jesse. Fair enough. Spoonie, how you doing on this Wednesday, brother?
How I'm doing? No, it's about how am I feeling.
Yeah, how you feeling?
Understand this. You see what I got over here? 2021 NFC East Championship. That was last season, right? We still the champs today until you take it from us. Not on draft grades, okay? Not on stats. On the field against the Dallas Cowboys. We are still the champs. You understand, nation? We are the champs still.
4
Let's
minutes
go.
in, we already got Spoonie hyped up for Spoonie's sermon. So that's good.
Hey, well,
good indication what tonight's going to be like.
Yeah, I mean, the Spoonie getting us into the sermon early. But you know why? We're 13 days away from camp, y'all. Less than 2 weeks, and it really gets real. So it's exciting. It's exciting on that side of things, man. Yeah. Oh, there. Ultra coming in says Spoonie is awakened. Yeah, Spoonie's been a little sleepwalking.
Yes.
He's like, don't wake me till camp gets here. You know what I mean? That's what and camp is here. It's we can take look. Professor O's already out there. We can taste it a little bit.
I've been here for almost a month now.
Yeah.
Ready for camp.
I
do want to answer Sam's question. So our guy Samuel Rose said, how did the Twitter Spaces work? So Nix is the godfather of the NFL Twitter space community. So all you have to do is go to Twitter. There's a button at the bottom of your screen or banners at the top of your screen. You should see both of them. You can click either or. That's all you have to do. Simple. Then it takes you to a screen showing you everybody who's attending. You can click a mic if you want to join and speak, or you can just listen just like YouTube. So it's super simple.
Yeah, that part. And if you follow me, you always get the notification as well. My guy Richard's in the building. What's going on? Long time no see. Good to see you back, brother. Hope everything's going well in your area. So what's up, nation? What's good? What's good? What's good? Man, we got a fire show tonight. In case y'all don't know, man, we actually had a space talking about the list for the NFL executives ranked their top 10 quarterbacks. We're gonna dig into that tonight, some. Over on who actually did the article for the fan survey for the Athletic? Was it
John Machota?
John Machota, I think. Yeah,
John Machota for the Athletic.
How do you say it? Is it Machota?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from the Athletic. It was a great survey. We're going to kind of dig into that some, and of course we're continuing our roster breakdown series, and we get to talk about the safeties, the back end. And for those of you here a long time, Spoony has hashtag and routed every single possible guy on earth to get some safeties in here. We feel pretty good now. Here going into our fourth season doing this content, we feel pretty good about it. So we're going to talk about those now. So we appreciate y'all rocking with us. Y'all know the drill. Hit the likes, right? Hit the likes. It's free. Make sure you share it. Tell a friend. The whole nine. We're going to have a fun time tonight. News and notes section. It's a little dry. It's a little dry. I think what we can cover is they had a workout today. They worked out some guys. The guys to highlight from the four that they worked out: Malik Jefferson, former University of Texas linebacker, in the building. He got to work out. We've talked about linebacker depth for a while now. He came in, and then Spoony, a guy that you're pretty excited about, little wide receiver action, got worked out today.
Yes, Cavante Turpin from the USFL.
Okay, get into the mic there, sir.
You hear me?
Yeah, you're just a little low.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Cavante Turpin from USFL. He was the league MVP from a wide receiver position. He's a very good kick return guy, punt return guy, which was something that we definitely needed for this Cowboys team. We don't want to see Jalen Tolbert nor CD Lamb back there. So I'm rooting for the kid. He has a little history. He never made an NFL roster coming out of TCU from his off the field issues he had. But I always say, as a growing man, you can never forget about those mistakes you make. But as you move forward and you grow in life, and he's definitely making that transition, in my opinion. So I'm hoping he finds a home on this team.
Yeah, I mean, I would like for him to get here. Y'all know me. I just want a guy dedicated to be a return guy. Now, I'm not saying he's going to come in and make the team. I would love to bring him to camp, though, and let's see what he has. Anything on the list? Any of those two guys excite you? You want to see him maybe bring a couple of those guys or any of those guys to camp?
I mean, at this point in the offseason, that's pretty typical. Teams usually do that right before training camp rolls out. We've seen it in the past, but with a quarterback, like when we brought, was it Taron Christian, I think was the guy's name? And then we did that with kickers in the past. So it's not uncommon to bring in guys that you think could battle at a position that maybe you have injuries or a position of need, just to give them a tryout and see what they can do. So the two guys that you guys mentioned already are the two names that are the more attractive, fun names, but it doesn't mean that the other two guys can't make some noise either. With that list, I don't know if they'll sign any of the four or two of the four. We'll have to see, because they'll have to make some roster moves if they do that. But Malik Jefferson's probably the more exciting from like a name standpoint, because he did go to University of Texas and was pretty good in college. He hasn't done anything in the NFL yet, but again, from a name standpoint, he's fun, and linebacker's a big hole right now. And like Spoony mentioned, having a guy who can be a punt returner who is really good in the USFL, if that can translate to the NFL, he may have a legit chance of cracking the roster. We'll have to see. Obviously, we don't know if he's even going to be signed, but the returnability is exciting because we have a room full of wide receivers who are not return men. We do have Dontario Drummond that did return some in college. Freifogel had like 3 career punts in college, so we don't have a lot in terms of new additions that can return punts. So maybe that's what Turpin could be. Yeah,
so we'll see if they add some camp bodies or not. That's pretty much kind of the news and notes that we got. I mean, the only other, I guess, newsworthy thing is kind of ahead of camp here. They're expecting Jalen Tolbert to be the start day one, be the number 2 wide receiver. That's where they're at, Professor O.
Yeah, I don't think that's really a big surprise to anybody, and it doesn't mean that James Washington can't take that position, but the Cowboys spent a third-round pick on him. We know that they kind of went back and forth on potentially using the second-round pick on him, but decided to wait because they thought Sam would not be there at 88. So they thought highly enough of him to take him potentially as the 56th pick overall. And knowing what Dak and our wide receiver coach think about him, it's not a shock at all that they would expect him to be the wide receiver too. But again, we have to see how camp plays out. Maybe Washington steps through the door and steals that position. But either way, whether he's wide receiver 2 or 3, he's going to get a lot of opportunities. So not really any groundbreaking news, but just interesting that it's kind of came out that early that's the expectation.
Yeah. Quick question from a guy on Woodard who's back in the building says, "What's up with Dalton Schultz? Is an agreement coming soon?" Spoonie, I don't think there's agreement on deck. What do you think? We got to unmute first, sir. We can't hear you.
Pardon me. Deadline make deals, and I still feel at the last minute it's going to happen.
I mean, we're basically less than 48 hours away.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I don't think it's going to happen. Spoonie's been, to your credit, you have been on board that the deal's going to happen with him. Professor O, deal coming for Schultz or not?
I mean, Spoonie's not wrong. The deadlines make deals, but they haven't even had conversations in the last 2 weeks. Like, typically you're at least kind of tossing out, hey, this is our final offer. It's a take it or leave it and see if he bites or if the Cowboys decide to jump. But they haven't even had conversations, and we are basically a day and a half away from the deadline. So I don't think he's going to get re-signed. I think they're just going to let him play on the tag, which is fine. I mean, he's under market value right now. So let's let him play on the tag and see what he can do.
10-4. All right. Well, that'll go ahead and conclude the news and notes. Not a whole lot. That's going to be an expanding topic, we know, as things move forward. But this week, it's about all we got. What y'all want to do first? Y'all want to do the top 10 list, or y'all want to rock the fan survey? Which one? Where y'all want to go?
I want to do the fan survey.
You want to do the fan survey?
Yeah, I want to do the fan survey.
All right. Let's get into the fan survey then. I think for this one here, I'll let you bring it up, and we'll Cadillac through, and maybe we'll ask the question and see where some people fall at, and get some good reaction here from everybody. I know for me, the one, as you're bringing that up, the one thing for me that I found. Oh no, hold on, Spoonie. No, that's not for you. Wait, don't do that. Sorry, y'all. No, not yet, Spoon. Not the sermon. I'm sorry, I brought up the wrong thing. I'm glad I caught that before Spoon caught it, because Spoon would have went in. It'd have been time. I'm so sorry, Spoon. I'm so sorry. I know, close. We already know. We know. Next week's show, I guess theoretically, if I'm not mistaken, I think we have one more show before camp kicks off.
Yes.
And then Spoonie's sermon returns. Mark your calendars on that. I'll have to do the math on it, but I think that pans out right. Maybe 2 shows, but one for sure. The fan survey, though. The one thing that I thought was funny, because the Cowboys like to eat their own, was the one question towards the end was the most overrated. And according to Zeke, was by far and away with the most votes. But number 2, Dakota Prescott. I'm just like, man, Dak. I don't know what that can do for this fan base at times. Obviously he's polarizing, but man, he's just always our fan base likes to eat their own, Spoon.
I don't understand. It's like every offseason we have to still debate with Dak stance.
Yeah, fun times. You got to brought up, you have a particular question you want to start with?
Yeah, so we'll start with number 3. We're going to have to, we'll end on that one.
All right.
What grade do you give Jerry Jones, the GM, since replacing Jason Garrett with McCarthy? A, B, C, D, E, F. Not E, F, sorry. A, B, C, D, F.
Yeah.
I give A.
An A.
2.3%
of the fans agree with you, Spoonie. 2.3%.
Hey, what is Jerry Jones since McCarthy? Really good draft as soon as you got McCarthy here, right? Last year's draft was really good.
Yeah.
This year's draft to be determined. I kind of want to go C because of the other things that they don't do, but the last 2 drafts, not counting this draft, the 2 drafts that have already been here and played, pretty damn good. Those drafts are pretty good, but I can't just ignore the lack of things away. But although, as we say that, Malik Cooker, we're talking safeties tonight, right? J-Ron Curse, a undrafted guy still now at right tackle. I got to go with I'm going with the B.
We got
I'm going with
Watkins
the B.
too.
Yeah, Watkins as well.
Another move that the GM's responsible for, he brought in Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
That part. So I'm gonna go with B. I'm at C because a lot of things that happen externally, and obviously we can be very cynical with the Randy Gregory situation, with the Malik Cooker situation, but the totality of it, C plus. I can't do C plus. So B. I'm gonna go B. That's where I'm at. Final answer.
All right, I'm also gonna go with a B. Had we not had so many falters this offseason, it's an easy A. If you look at just what we did in drafting the last two classes, I mean, you brought in CeeDee Lamb, Neville Gallimore, Trevon Diggs, Micah Parsons. We've had some phenomenal draft classes recently. So that alone, you would think would bump them up there, but we got a 5th-round pick and a swap of 6 for Amari Cooper. We got nothing for Lyle Collins. We had Randy Gregory. Didn't have Randy Gregory. So I can't go C or D because we've done well in terms of free agency signings. We hit on a lot of guys last year. We brought most of those core guys back. But we've had 3 big whiffs this offseason, so I'm going to go with a B.
Okay. And the survey gave, and how the survey breakdown?
Yeah, so the survey, 39.7% gave it a C. 26.9% gave it a B. 20.6% gave it a D. So C, B, and D were the 3 most common choices.
Okay. I like it. Again, the exterior stuff is bad. The drafting has been good. And again, if we really get into the brass tacks of what they brought in, they've panned out well. So yeah, B. Me and Spoon, you went with the A. Me and Matt here with the B. The nation's a little torn in that. And of course, going through it, I kind of threw him up already. Our guy Mendoza with the B minus, Stephen White with the B, my guy Roberts with the B, A from Ultra Cowboy, B plus from my guy Manshak. Water came in, he ain't happy. He said, man, that D, that's all I can give him. I got Slim Pickens in the building, said shot the B out there. I got Steve with a C. So yeah, there's some good, there's some bad. We understand it, right? We kind of get it. Well, the next question.
Which rookie will make the biggest impact this season? Tyler Smith, Jalen Tolbert, Jonathan Garibay, Sam Williams, or Jake Ferguson? So most of our top picks with Garibay thrown in there.
I mean, technically Garibay wasn't a draft pick, but
let's just say which rookie.
Yeah, so. True. But special teams does matter. y'all know the vibes. Special teams does matter. He's going to have an impact. From the extra points, we know the ride we went with on extra points just last season, and everyone pounded the table about a couple of games that we lost because of the kicker, the Tampa game and the other game that eludes me at the moment. But I can't take kicker. So what needs to happen is Tyler Smith is what needs to happen. So I'm gonna reside with that. I'm gonna go with the big fatty. I'm gonna go with Tyler Smith.
Well, let's just answer it the way that it's asked, though. Which rookie will make the biggest impact? Not which needs to, but which will make the biggest impact. If that's still your answer, that's fine.
Okay. No, that's fair. Okay. Yeah. Give me Tolbert.
Tolbert?
I'm going with Jalen Tolbert.
What do you have, Spoonie?
I got Jonathan Garibay, man.
Okay.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, I hear you.
Yes, listen, I've been rolling with this kid before the draft. I put it out there on Twitter. I said, this is the type of kid I want on this team. Understand this. I see at least 3 games with game-winning field goals over 40 yards by this kid. Okay? That's my prediction right there.
Spoonie, that's way too many game-winning field goals for my liking. Not that I wouldn't be mad if it was a vet doing it a rookie. I don't want to have 3 games that are that close to come down to that.
That's 3.
That's a
That's
lot.
the league. That's the league, though. That's the league.
That's a lot. No, I want 40 burgers consistently, so I'm not trying to have any of these game-winning field goals.
But I'll say this. I like this. I like this a lot. Of course, Tolbert and Tyler would have been great picks because they're gonna have starting positions, as we know. But I picked Garibay because this kid's gonna be in a spotlight. You know, we've been very inconsistent at kicker the past couple of years. Ever since Dan Bailey has gone from this team to Minnesota, it's been up and down, up and down, up and down. We put a guy named Greg DeLay. We saw how that turned out, not too good. And, definitely in my opinion, I see this kid going to be mindful of Dan Bailey and Chris Bonio, a Cowboys great back in the days. So that's why I pick Garrett.
Okay. Mendoza, when Spoonie says, understand this, he's being dead ass.
Facts.
Classic comic.
No bricks. Facts.
So
okay. What about
I'm going to surprise you guys.
Okay.
Because you know how I feel about the draft pick. I'm going to say Tyler Smith because he's the only guy out of that list that's going to play, assuming he's healthy, 95% of the snaps. So he has to have the biggest impact, good or bad. Either way, he's going to have the most impact out of the rookie draft class. Whether it's a great impact or average, I don't know. We'll have to see. But based on how the question's asked, he has to have the biggest impact. Not because necessarily we need him to, although we do, just solely because he's going to play the most snaps. So his impact would be felt the most. So that's the way I'm answering it. Yeah. The survey gave Tyler Smith 43.3%, Jalen Tolbert 25.5%, and Jonathan Garibay 15.5%. So it's interesting. I guess it's not really that surprising because Sam Williams and Ferguson, people are assuming are going to platoon, where the other three are going to get. Garibay won't have more snaps, but he'll have a bigger role because he's a starter, right? Yeah.
Right.
So that was an interesting one. Now this one I think is kind of polarizing too, because I think once you look at the options and you answer it, you're probably going to waffle at least once. Which player's departure will be the toughest to replace? Which player's departure will be the toughest to replace? Amari Cooper, Randy Gregory, Lyle Collins, or Cedric Wilson?
Man.
Cooper, Gregory, Collins, or Wilson?
There's a case to be made for multiple guys here, so
yeah,
the waffling will consume here. Will definitely happen because, I mean, there's a case to be made for several guys. From the overall talent standpoint, right? You kind of want to go right over to Cooper, but then understand like how they've kind of replaced it. You're thinking about Cedric Wilson, and we don't know who the true to form replacement for Cedric is. And then Lyle Collins, and I've talked about it before. It's different for still walking in being the day one starters versus a guy that was in need and was the swing guy. So there's something to be said there when it comes to Lyle Collins as well. Gregory, we understand some of the things that he brought to it, what he means and the talent that he has. For me, Gregory's off the board. Like Gregory, I think we're fine there. I'm okay with the Gregory side of things. To me, it probably will come down between Lyle Collins and probably Cedric Wilson, just because of how the team is built. Is where I would reside at personally. Spoonie's got the shades on. He's shaking the head.
Yeah, it was fun. It's a good question though. But I'm going with same thing with Lyle Collins. We don't know Tyler. We don't know Terrence Steele a whole full season yet. That's just it. And if it's not a good thing, it's going to be a problem. Big problem.
Got you.
So far, the chat has been really interesting. There's quite a few said Wilsons, a couple Coopers. I saw a couple Lyle Collins. So this is polarizing because when you look at the first two names, you think, well, Randy Gregory, we tried to give $70 million to. Amari Cooper was brought in to be the Dak savior, and he played his role, and we got nothing in return, and people were upset about that. So those are the two easy ones, and those are the two that pulled the highest. But I agree with you guys. Collins and Wilson are easily the bigger losses, in my opinion, because Wilson was the slot guy. So now that we don't know who is our slot guy, we're going to have to assume Washington can do that, or Tolbert can do that, or it necessitates CeeDee Lamb not being able to play all over the field and having to play slot unless somebody else is the door. That's a big loss. And then Malik Turner was the guy that could have done that. We talked about that on our wide receiver show for pennies, but he's gone. So we don't have any true slot guys on the roster right now, except for CeeDee Lamb. That's a concern. And then not having Collins anymore, now suddenly we're relying on a 4th-round pick who played 0 snaps last year, or a 5th-round pick who obviously hasn't played a snap yet because he's a rookie, at swing tackle. When we had Collins, worst case scenario, if you want to start Steele this year, if he beats him out in open competition, you feel really good about what you have at tackle. Right now, it's a complete mystery. So to me, I know that Cooper and Gregory are the bigger names out of the 4, but it's definitely Collins or Wilson. I'm going to go with Collins just because I'm terrified at our swing tackle position. But I'm proud of the chat. I was expecting a lot of Cooper answers. So the fact that we got as many Cedrics as we did, shout out to you guys, chat. I'm really proud of you guys.
Yeah, and the thing about Cedric was slot guy, good with Dak, punt returner. He was able to do that, and we don't have really that guy in the house. So there's another thing there too that he brought, to the table that we got to replace. Okay, on to the next.
CeeDee Lamb is the favorite to lead the Cowboys in receiving yards. Who will finish second? We've actually chatted about this on the show, so you know my answer already. What do you guys think? Is it Michael Gallup, Jalen Tolbert, James Washington, Dalton Schultz, or other?
Tony Pollard. Joking. It's Dalton Schultz for me. He's the number 2 guy. I think Dak likes him a lot, especially early on until Gallup gets back. How this is going to look, heavy 12 personnel. I think he's going to get even more looks this year with Cooper being gone and Wilson being gone. And the one thing you can do with Schultz, as we're talking about the slot thing, you could be in a 12 personnel and have him not booted up to the line, and have him in the slot. So there's some things that he can do and bring to that table. So I think for me, it's Schultz for me in that lineup.
But what's on the roster right now, currently, I agree with DJ, it's Schultz.
Oh, look at Spoon. He's trying to get that free agent. I know what you're doing, Spoon.
I'm the same. I mean, we talked about it before. It's Schultz, and it's not because I don't believe in the other guys. I just know Gallup's going to come back at some point, whether that's week 1, week 7, who knows. When he steps up, Washington or Tolbert's snap count will drop. Their target rate will drop. CeeDee Lamb, we're expecting to get the lion's share of the targets, but again, we know that we're a fair, equal opportunity offense. If you're open, we'll throw you the ball. We don't care if you're wide receiver 4 or not, but we assume CD is going to get the bulk of the targets. So
right.
I just don't see Tolbert, Gallup, or Washington being able to have an 8, 9, or even 1,000-yard season because they're all going to be taking targets away from each other. But Schultz will be on the field, assuming he's healthy. He'll get the opportunities. So for me, it's Schultz.
That boy Stephen Watt said semi. Spoiler alert.
I'm shocked he didn't say Matt Waletzko because that's his tight end 3.
Yeah.
So interesting enough on the chat. You guys were right. Everyone that said Dalton Schultz, he got 49.4% of the vote. Gallup at 35.4%, which I think is too high, and then Tolbert at 11%. So that's how it broke down there. This one I think is one of the more interesting questions and answers. Who will finish with more combined rushing and receiving yards, Pollard or Zeke?
Yeah, we actually talked about this in the space some. I don't like it. Look, I hate to be the bearer of bad news for Cowboys Nation because I know how this vote kind of panned out. Spoiler alert, but yeah, it's going to be Zeke. As much as I want Pollard to get the guy, and last year we talked about that a ton. We wanted Pollard to get them 12 to 14, 15 touches per game, right? That's what we wanted, and I was trying to get him to the punt return just to manufacture some touches for him. This front office and brass have just shown the propensity that they're not going to use him. So I'm not buying that they're going to use him. They're going to run Zeke, and Zeke's going to do it. Now, it would be great. Sure, I would love it if Pollard was in that mix. And, Zeke's somewhere around, 800 to 1,000 yards with like 12 touchdowns rushing. And then you had Pollard with like a combined 1,100 rushing and catching and around 7 to 8 touchdowns. It would be a great mix. But it's weird. Like the Cowboys are in love with the 2-back system or the wide back even, going all the way back to Lance Dunbar and then the Tavon Austins of the world and those kind of guys. They talk about it a ton. They love the general idea about it. They never implement it. They'll tease us. They'll tease us in OTAs. They'll tease us with it in training camp. Oh, first couple of games of the year. Oh, they're both on the field at the same time. And then you won't see it no more for the rest of the year. So, yeah, unfortunately, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. And look, I'm campaigning for it to happen where Pollard gets more involved. I just don't see it. It'll be Zeke.
Whew, for me, I mean, we had this on the space. I had picked Pollard. But my reasons is that they want to see more Pollard. We didn't see him last season with once Zeke got hurt. Well, Zeke was hurt for majority of the season. We didn't see him as much, but the staff really wanted him, and I feel that under McCarthy now taking over, having some input on the offense, I think they're going to find a way to implement Pollard more. So I'm going Pollard.
So everything in my being wants to say Pollard. I so badly want to say that because if I was the offense coordinator, Pollard would be my starter and Zeke would be my closer. And I would do I'd roll with the hot hand, but I would plan on doing a 55-45 or 60-40 split with Pollard getting the lion's share because that home run ability is, to me, that's huge. Like, it's great to pick up lots of 5 and 6 yard carries and eat the clock, but being able to pop any given time a 40 or 50 yard touchdown, knowing how explosive our passing game can be, to me is what I would want to do. But I just don't trust this coaching staff to give Pollard the amount of snaps that he would need to be able to beat out Zeke. And I know that Zeke is healthy now. And I know when he was healthy last year, the first 3 games, he got the lion's share of touches. So I don't see any reason that they would change. So I'm going to go with Zeke. The poll was interesting, though. It was 51.5 to 48.5 with Pollard winning. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, it's close. I mean, that was definitely as close to 50-50 as you're going to get in a poll like that. So that was an interesting one. This one I thought was an interesting one too. So Micah Parsons had 13 sacks in 16 games as a rookie. How many will he have this season? Your options are 11 to 14, 7 to 10, 15 to 18, more than 18, or less than 7. So I think we can assume it's not going to be less than 7. So really we're looking at 11 to 14, 7 to 10, 15 to 18, or more than 18.
Good, Spoon.
That's spicy. That's spicy.
Oh. Spoon, you started out spicy, so I'm ready for the spice at this point.
He's coming for the sack record, y'all. I'm telling you right now.
That's what he's saying, more than 18.
Yep. That's the highest? Over 18?
It says more than 18, so that can be whatever number you want.
The answer.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. More than 18. Yeah. Smells like 11, 12 to me. That's where I'm at. 12. I like 11 to 12. That's
11 to 12. Okay,
yeah. So
Knicks chose 11 to 14.
Yeah, 11 to 14. Yeah, that's what I'm picking.
I'm splitting the difference. I'm going to go with 15 to 18. I think he's going to have a big season. Because I'm looking at what he did knowing admittedly, we did not have Tank last year on the opposite side of him. I think that matters. Knowing that we have guys like Sam Williams that we're excited about, Dante Fowler, if we can channel what he's done in the past, like we have a lot of guys that can rush the passer. And I personally think the reason Parsons is going to have a bigger season this year than last year is not because of Tank or the other edge rushers. It's because of Osa. I'm confident Osa is going to have a big season. If you can get a push in the middle, whether Osa has 5.5 sacks or 8 sacks, if you have somebody who can consistently push in the middle, that opens up so many opportunities where a quarterback tries to step up in the pocket. Parsons can drop out of coverage and get a sack. Parsons can rush on the edge. Quarterbacks have to roll out. Like, it's going to set up opportunities. So I think 15 to 18, which is a high number, ridiculously high number. But if Robert Quinn can do that last year, Micah Parsons can do that. I'm going with 15 to 18. So in the chat, I see 11 to 14 with Mendoza. Tex Mayo has 14. Beat by money with 22. Love that answer. Sugar Daddy Williams, 8 to 11. So we're seeing quite a bit, quite a big range. The answer, the poll showed 11 to 14 was 45.8%. 7 to 10, which is where Knicks fell. No, sorry, Knicks was 11-14. So Knicks had the lead. You were 11-14.
Don't talk down on me.
7 to 10 was 28%. That shocks me. I'm genuinely surprised that 28%, which is the second most, said he's going to have 7 to 10 sacks.
They might be looking at the idea of they're not going to rush him off the edge as much as last year because of the lack of injury to Tank, possibly. Yeah. But as has been pointed out here before, he didn't get all of his sacks from the edge. He got them from the middle as well too. Mm-hmm. So, but again, maybe people are in the idea frame with the 7 to 10 that he's not going to get as many opportunities to rush. The quarterback this year. Yeah.
So one of the last 2 questions I want to end it with. The winning one in this one is wrong. I'm telling you, it's wrong. Trevon Diggs is expected to lead the team in interceptions. Who will finish second? Anthony Brown, Jordan Lewis, Jaron Kearse, Malik Cooker, Kelvin Joseph, Micah Parsons, or other. Let's start with Spoonie. Spoonie,
Okay.
who will be second in interceptions this year?
Up one. Wait.
I got my guy.
You have
All right.
Anthony Brown,
All
Jordan Lewis, Jaron Kearse, Malik Cooker, Kelvin Joseph,
Bam.
Micah Parsons, or other.
Malik Cooker.
Okay.
Malik Cooker.
Me and Spoon just became best friends. Same. I think where you were with our guy KZ last year, I'm 10 toes down on Malik Cooker on that way this year. I think Malik Cooker's primed for a huge year. I think it's going to be Malik Cooker.
Clean sweep. Malik Cooker.
Oh, let's go!
This may be the first time in Pick Six Star Gang history that we all agree. No, Malik Cooker. You could see the growth in confidence in him as the season went on. Game by game, week by week, you just saw shades of that guy that we saw prior to the injuries. Just more comfortability, more familiarity with the defense, more trusting the other guys to be in their zone. He was playing a lot close up in the box early on. As the season went on, he started drifting a little bit further back, got to play some center fielder and looked good. He's healthy for the first time in forever. Going into a season, it's Malik Cooker. I would be willing to bet Malik Cooker is going to have 5 or 6 interceptions, which should be second on the team. Maybe lead the team. We'll have to see.
It could. Right.
Anthony Brown, for those who were wondering, is who led the poll. Nothing against Anthony Brown. I was super happy and proud of him for last year, but he led with 26.5%, and then Jordan Lewis had 25%. Kearse was third. Malik Cooker was fourth.
Okay. Well, we're lone wolfing it out here. A wolf pack of 3, if you will, is where we're at.
3-man wolf pack.
But we'll definitely have to go back and clip that the first time we all came together and formed that Voltron with Malik Cooker. So how fitting we are doing safeties tonight, and Malik Cooker having to be our all 3 answer here. Good stuff, man.
And we did not set that up. Like, we didn't chat about these. Yeah, one last one. And just so you guys know, this was not planned. We did not set this up to do that where it leads into it. It just happened to be the way that we all think. So the last question, there's quite a few. There's like 25 questions. So check out John Machota's article on The Athletic. The last one, the Cowboys haven't been to the NFC Championship game in 26 years. Will that streak end in the next 3 years? Yes or no?
Yes, this season.
Is Nick there? Spoonie, can you see Nick? He's like frozen on my screen. Is that just mine?
Yeah, no, he's frozen.
Okay. So I'm going to say yes too. I don't think we're going to do it this year. I would love for them to do it, but I don't know that we're quite there yet. Okay. But I do believe in Dak. I do believe in Dan Quinn. I do believe in CeeDee Lamb. Like, there's enough. I believe in Micah Parsons. I believe in Osa. There's enough guys that we should be able to get to the NFC Championship game. Super Bowl, who knows? I know that the last 2.5 decades don't say that we should make it to the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship game. But this question wasn't, will they win one? It was just solely, will they make it there? Right. So, yes, I do believe we have enough core pieces in place that whoever our head coach is, whoever our offensive coordinator is, if Dak stays healthy and we see growth from the guys that we expect, yes, I do think we can make it to the NFC Championship game. Oh, yeah, it could be this year.
Of course. No, we do have a good coaching staff on deep, and the one thing they answered for me was the next man up approach, and they had these guys prepared last season. And anytime when you have young guys step in for the starters and hold it down and still able to win games until they return, it makes you a stronger team, because now the staff knows, well, you know what, we can use these guys for the rotation. Why? Because they came in here, they came to work, they proved it, they held it down. And, you know, this Cowboys team, it is talent. Yes, do we go after the big names if a guy's released or if a guy's available for trade? Not really. But when it comes down to drafting and developing, these last 2 years definitely show that this staff can really help this team move forward. And P.O. hit it. Once you got, but Dak Prescott, he's healthy. He just said he's the healthiest he's ever been in a long time, right? That's a plus. That's a huge plus. As long as we are injury free, we got it.
So Spoonie said yes. The next 3 years we will make it to the NFC
Yeah,
Championship
good
game.
to
Again,
give
the
me the
question is not will
question.
they win. It was will they make it. What do you got, Nix?
Yeah, I'm buying. I'm buying. Where Dak's headed, where this defense is going to head, and the one thing I'm going to say, no matter how people feel about this draft, carte blanche has to be had here with the last two drafts and see it walk through the door. And we had to understand that this draft wasn't as talented as last year's draft. So we got to see these guys walk through the door. But there's some faith here to see them walk through because of what we've seen so far, especially when we talk about the Osas and the guys in there, the later rounds and what they've been able to do. So this on the backside of things gives me the credence to say, yes, they'll make it. Not that they'll win it, but they'll get there. I think things are definitely trending in the right direction from that side of things. Now we got to wait and see how some of this free agency stuff happens with these guys that are coming up next year moving forward. But overall, I do feel comfortable where this thing is headed.
Okay. So again, check out John Machota's article. It's on The Athletic. It just was released on Monday, July 11th. So if you haven't had a chance to look at it, feel free to do that. He actually put some of the topics on his Twitter. So if you haven't signed up to The Athletic, you can just check out the topics there and answer it yourself. But good content, especially right now in the slow time. It's just kind of interesting to see not only what the questions were, but how some of them were answered by our fan base.
Steven says this draft was much deeper. The later rounds were better because there wasn't a lot of high-end talent. And that's what matters in the later picks that the Cowboys were able to get to. But let's go over to this top 10 list of quarterbacks by NFL Execs. Let me get I actually have the pick. Let me get the pick up here real quick. Boom. So Jay Fowler over there at ESPN went and talked to NFL executives, and this was the composed list from his conversations and questions to the Execs. Aaron Rodgers 1, Patrick Mahomes 2, Allen 3, Brady 4, Burrow 5, Stafford 6, Herbert 7, Wilson 8, and Watson at 9. And then Dak Prescott at 10. Real quick, what do you think there, Professor, with that list? How you feeling?
So if you don't mind just pulling it back up so everyone can see it too, because my question to the chat is, do you agree? It's really 3 questions for you. First, do you agree where Dak is on the list? If not, where should he be? Does he belong here or not? And if you say yes, where does he fall? Second question for you is there anybody on this list you would kick out of the top 10? Maybe that's Deshaun Watson since he didn't play last year and maybe suspended this year. We'll have to see. And the third question is there a notable omission that you think belonged on the list? Is there anybody who's not here that you think should take Watson's place if you kick him out? So 3 questions. First question, does Dak fall at 10? Is that a good spot or should it be higher? Second question, is there anybody on the top 10 that should be removed? And then the third part of that is, if yes, who are you subbing in that spot? So for me, these lists are like really outside of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks. You could rank them however you want. Like you could say Dak's number 5. You could say he's number 8, 9, 10. And the argument's probably fine. I personally would have him somewhere in that 7. Probably 7 is probably where I'd put him at. I would definitely boot Stafford down a little bit. I think he's too high. Props to him. He's had a lot of big numbers throughout his career. He did win a Super Bowl last year, but I can't forget, because this is brought up all the time with Dak, that he doesn't beat teams with winning records, because prior to last season, his winning percentage against teams over 500 was like 0.106 or something like astronomically low. I understand the team he played on, but at the same time, you're the quarterback and wins are attributed to you, right or wrong. So if it's credited or discounted against Dak, I have to also do that to other players. So yes, he won the Super Bowl. Props to him, but he's too high at 5. If you want to put him at like 9 or 10, okay, cool. Watson didn't play last year. We don't know if he's going to play this year. I don't know that when he played that he was truly above Dak. I think their numbers are pretty even. So I'm definitely not going to put him above Dak after seeing Dak throw 37 touchdown passes in 16 games last year. So I think Watson's too high. And I would sub in Lamar Jackson. I think it's kind of crazy that Lamar's not in there. He was a league MVP recently. I know last year he kind of took a step back numbers-wise, but he was injured. He's a dual threat player that actually attacks teams. He's not a running back playing quarterback. He actually can throw. as seen as evidenced by his MVP season. I'm a lot higher on Lamar Jackson than what this list is. I don't know where he ranked. They didn't say if he was 11, 12, 13, or 14, but for me, he's definitely a top 10 quarterback. So I would move Dak up to 7-ish. I'd move Stafford down. I'd move Watson out completely, and I would sub in Lamar Jackson.
Jordan Harris with a question. Do you think Dak is better than Herbert?
It's a good question.
I'll
go first.
I think, yeah, go ahead.
So in terms of just arm talent, I think Herbert has a top 3 arm in the NFL right now. He has special talent. He could very well be a top 3 or 4 quarterback, but right now, no. What's he done? He's had good rosters. He's had 2 really good receivers, a dual threat running back in Eckler that can do a lot. He's had good defenses. He hasn't won a playoff game. That's the same bar that we're holding Dak to. So no, there's no reason I could put him above Dak right now. If I'm talking about just from a talent standpoint, he probably is physically more gifted than Dak. But in terms of quarterback play, I think Dak's the better quarterback right now, July 13th.
I'll rest my case. I have nothing else to say on that. What O said, that part. Top 10 list there, Spoonie. What do you like? What do you don't like? Don't need to bring it back up for you.
I hate this list because why is it? The standards are never the same. They're never the same for Dak Prescott at all. Never the same. It'd be Dak versus this person. Well, he got more rings. Dak versus this person. Well, he got more playoffs. So again, why is Herbert at number 7 and he's never been to the playoffs? See, I'm playing the same game. You see, people will accept that list because it's just Dak not being better than somebody, right? Okay. Space Cowboys. He came on a Freestyle Friday a couple of weeks ago, right? And he said something I didn't even think about. A lot of us didn't think about. He came out and said, how many quarterbacks in the NFL today currently? You take out Tom Brady, who has multiple championships? None. Everybody has one or none. So the gap between Dak not having a ring versus somebody who has a ring, I mean, it shouldn't really matter. Stafford, I love Stafford. I love Stafford from Georgia.
Go Dogs.
People who know I love Stafford, but I'm sorry. You went to a very good team, the best team you had in your whole career, hands down to you. He deserved it. He's still like a pro in there. I'm glad he got that ring, but you're not better than Dak Prescott. Herbert, who the NFL wants to be, he's not better yet. Everything that P.O. said a couple of minutes ago, that's just how it is. When it comes to Rodgers and Mahomes, listen, Russell Wilson, I think Russ should be up there. Why? Russ was an MVP candidate in Seattle. And let's be honest, the man was running for his life with that poor offensive line. Mm-hmm. Okay? He should be up there. So the way Lamar Jackson, I'm sorry. He may not be the best quarterback with the best mechanics, but at the same time, he is the best weapon on that field in the NFL today. That is just reality.
Simple.
Right. He's not. I would not pick him as far as if you're talking about what a lot of NFL teams want their quarterback to do. He won't be able to give you that, but he does something that none of them can do when it comes to his athleticism, and he got to be on that list. So, for me, Rodgers, Mahomes, I'm going to put Russell Wilson there. Josh Allen, I like where he's at. In my opinion, he was the best he was the best quarterback the last 2 years, in my opinion. I think this season he's going to ball out with Buffalo Bills right there. So I would put Dak at around what P.O. said, around number 7. I would drop Herbert. I'm taking Deshaun Watson out of there. We know his situation. Don't need to go further with it. I'm putting Lamar Jackson in there. Interesting. Even though, yes, Joe Burrow didn't make it to the Super Bowl. Yes, he's a young quarterback. I'm more of switching him and Kyler Murray.
Oh,
I don't like
that. I don't like that at all.
I just, you know what it is? I just think Kyler, yeah.
You ever dropping gems?
I'm thinking about it.
That's one of those you have to put my comments here do not necessarily reflect the organization that I work for. You got to drop that one before making a comment like that.
You know what? Listen, these are my associates. They telling me to do it, and I'm doing it right now. I'm dropping Kyler Murray. Right.
The thing we talk about this in the spaces, we were doing some of these lists earlier this offseason, and coming back to it right here is I find this list very interesting because it's not, a journalist or, TV personality. This is from the NFL execs and kind of breaking down what they think and how they view the league and what they see in quarterback. First and foremost, Deshaun Watson's out of here. You haven't played in over a year. I don't care. Lamar Jackson's in there, period. Number two, we understand who Aaron Rodgers is. I'm sorry, currently right now, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes at number one over everybody. That's just where I'm at. Sorry. Stafford hadn't won a playoff game until this year. We know he won the Super Bowl. Fair. He's moving down the list a little bit. Russell Wilson's intriguing to me because I think he's gotten away with some things because maybe the team and things are happening. He won't have those excuses this year, so it's going to be very intriguing to see what happens with him. So I would have Dak. It's what potato chip do you like the most? Are you a sour cream and onion guy, or maybe you're a cheddar and sour cream guy, or maybe you're a Doritos guy, or And once you get outside those top 3 or 4, it really just depends on who you like for whatever reasons that you want to put into that equation. For me though, Dak's 7. That's where I would have Dak.
I'm at 7.
Catch me another day. I might put him at 6, maybe, but 7. I feel very strong about Dak at 7. The interesting thing is NFL execs and how they look at this, though, and it's a nice little look into how the upper management of this league views the league and sees things unfold. So I thought it was an interesting topic. But NFL execs, you can tell your favorite hater has Dak at number 10. So anyone else that's hating on Dak, the NFL people that matter do have him in the top 10.
Yes. So next time you talk to a Washington fan or a Giants or Eagles fan and they try to tell you what's the number that they pick for Dak, he's not top 10. What number is it, Knicks? You talk about in spaces all the time. What are they ranking?
Who? Oh, always
Eagles,
12.
Washington, Giants.
It's
Always 12.
12.
So that way they can say, oh no, he is a top 15 quarterback. I'm just saying he's not in the top 10. That's Knicks talks about it all the time. I do want to tell you guys, I'm spot on with them at 1 and 2. I do think Rodgers is still the best quarterback in the NFL. He's won back-to-back MVPs. He has like 90 touchdowns and 7 interceptions or something like that over the last 2 years. Like that's like generational good. Like you won't see that the rest of your life good. Like Aaron Rodgers' production the last 2 years is absolutely incredible. And Mahomes is the only other quarterback, like you mentioned, Knicks, that I think you could even make an argument for right now should be number 1. I think that those two are clearly the best 2 quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
Right.
Allen and Brady, you could swap them. Burrow, yeah, he had a good year last year, but again, he has not had – if you put Burrow's best season versus – and it's young in his career – versus what those other 3 guys ahead of them have done, there's no way you can say he's even in their class right now. I know he went to the Super Bowl. Props to him. But I don't think he belongs in the top 5 yet. Maybe he will had he won the Super Bowl. Maybe it's a different story. But I think the top 2 they crushed. Everywhere else after that, you can argue and pick your flavor.
Very factual. The top 4, however you want to rank them, Brady, Allen, Mahomes, Rodgers, I think that's pretty concrete. I'm good there. Mix them up, roll the dice, put them however you want to put them. Outside of that, it's what your philosophy is. What do you like? What are you looking for? And outside of that, flavor of ice cream, as our guy Brian Broaddus says, what flavor of ice cream do you like the most? Kind of where it rolls out to. But the 4, I think, are pretty simple. And the rest of them, there's things I like about them. It's just where you want to put them. And Lamar, as we kind of all universally put him in there into the top 10. And a couple guys on the cusp, right? I think Carr's on the cusp. It's going to be very intriguing to see Derek Carr this year. With getting Devontae Adams over there, with Renfro in the slot, how that's going to look for him. There's some guys that are coming, No Jalen Hurts talk though today. No Jalen Hurts talk today though.
I think Carr's spot in the list though is in his division, the newest guy there. Carr next year, we could be saying, hey, let's move Russ out of the top 10 and move Carr up there. I mean,
right.
we had in our group chat conversations, and there were some really good arguments made for Carr. He's had 5 different offensive coordinators in the last 5 years or something crazy. He's until now with Devontae Adams, he's never had a true number 1 elite receiver. So them playing in a dome, I think Carr's going to have a phenomenal year. So he could very well be in the argument right now. And after the season, I think he will be in the top 10. Hurts is a funny one though. So that's a news and notes segment for the Eagles podcast. But the talk is he's looked atrocious so far. They don't feel confident in him. He had a 10-play series where he had 4 incompletions, 4 interceptions, and then took 2 sacks. Is that what it was? 4, and 2, or something like that?
It was like four completions, 3 interceptions. Yeah, it was ugly. It was a report. Our guy Sam's like he's taking Brady 1. Brady got 7 rings, man. Brady's 45 this year. Just where he's at now. We're not talking about 3, 4, 5 years ago. We're just talking about right now in the league. And he's still top 4. I mean, it's fair to say he's still top 4, but I couldn't put him at number 1 at this point in his career, though. There was a point in time, sure, number 1 walk away, but now not so much for me. But still, I mean, come on. What are we talking about here? 4? Let's go. Let's flip over.
I do want to say this has went viral on the internet with people dissecting this list. Spoonie's list having Murray at 5 would have went ballistic online. People would have been like,
well, here's the thing. Colin Cowherd has Kyler Murray at 8.
I saw that. No Dak on his list. Although he did he said Dak is an elite quarterback, but he's not top 10. So apparently there's more than 10 elite quarterbacks, which is kind of crazy. 1 in 3 quarterbacks in the NFL are elite, according to Colin Cowherd. So, but shout out to him. He gave Watch and Sky a platform, so appreciate that.
Yeah, I do agree with DJ with Carl. Carl is definitely going to rise up, in my opinion.
Yeah, and of course, for Colin Cowherd, he did have Carr at 10. So, for what it's worth. Roster Breakdown Series continues right now. We're going to get into the safeties that we have. I want to start on the bottom tier. We'll work our way up. I'm going to start at the tip top. Let's start at the bottom tier. I want to start with Spoonie's guy from last year. If y'all were here, Spoonie loved this guy. There he is. That boy Coyle from Purdue. So, Spoonie, you started out hot tonight. You've been dropping gems. You came in with the Kyler Murray. By all means, I'll let you go ahead and promote your guy Coyle here a little bit and what you think about him going into this training camp.
Oh, listen, he was my guy to Purdue last season. I look for good special teams for him, but I have a new crush.
Oh, you got a new crush. We'll get to your new crush. We'll get to your new crush. We'll get to your new crush.
We'll get to that crush.
I had to see where you were. New year, new you. Who's this if he calls you?
But I'm gonna bring up what P.O. has said. I'm saying about last year. No, a couple of months ago. Basically about Tyler Coyle. He could see him move to the linebacker role what KZ was doing last season for the Cowboys. In that position. He's definitely fast, strong. His reaction is very good. But he would have to show that he could play special teams to really to get to that spot. So, I'm hoping he gets in, but we'll see. A lot of competition in front of him.
Man, doesn't even know. Go dial up that Purdue tape and go check him out, brother. Coyle going into this training camp, Professor O, what are you feeling about his potential of his position to grow, his role to grow, special teams wise? Maybe that linebacker role. What you think?
Yeah. So Sam, I will indulge you. Coyle was a safety at UConn. He transferred to Purdue. COVID happened, so he only played 4 games. When he went to Purdue, the reason that was a big move is he switched to linebacker. What's interesting about Coyle, though, is Coyle is, I think he's 6'1", 215, 220, but he's a 4'3" guy. So from a trait standpoint, he's like phenomenal. Like if you look at his SPARQ score, like he's very, very, very good in terms of an athletic profile. So that's why when people talk about like Deron Bland moving to safety, I'm like, Coyle's a better trait guy than Bland. Why would I want Bland if I already have Coyle? And I don't know if Coyle even makes the team. He did play last year later in the season. He did play, I think it was like 18 or 19 snaps against the Eagles the last game of the season, but he had 2 games where he played 15 or more snaps as a special teams player. So I think his role on the roster is a potential gunner that can have an impact on the special teams. I do think he's a guy because we know linebackers are slimming down as offenses are becoming more explosive and tight ends are more athletic. We're seeing more of these 220, 230-pound linebackers. I think his role, if he makes the team, is as a safety 5/linebacker 5. So I think he would be on the linebacker depth chart, but could play safety in a pinch. I think he has a lot of traits that make a lot of sense to see him as a linebacker. I don't think he has a good shot if you look at our safeties. So that's kind of where I think. I think he's a guy who could be a core special teams player that from a trait standpoint, they don't want to move on from. So if he makes the team, I think they would maybe line him up as linebacker 5 or 6 and just really be a special teams player.
My question would be for Coyle making this team, can he remove the guy who's been here forever in CJ as the core special teams guy, CJ Goodwin? Could he be the replacement? $2 million on the cap that they can get rid of that they moved on from CJ. If Coyle could walk through that door, a possibility to y'all, or maybe far-fetched?
That's a good question. I think the Cowboys would like to do that. I mean, I think if you look at the cornerback room, maybe it's Deron Bland, maybe it's Nashawn Wright. I think the Cowboys, if possible, would rather remove a $2 million special teams only who has no upside on the defensive snaps for a guy who's a third of the price and could potentially develop into a defensive player. I think if given that option, they would do that. And we talk about it every single position group. When we talk about tight ends, well, that guy's going to be a special teams player. Talk about it with running back 3 and wide receiver 5 and 6 and our linebackers and our defensive ends. Like, there's a lot of special teams players. If you could get away with having somebody else be a gunner and maybe that's Coyle, having a safety who can light up a punt returner or be a guy who gets downfield for kick returns, I would love that. So I think if he has a good camp, yeah, he absolutely could, or somebody else could boot out CJ Goodwin. I don't think Goodwin's spot is safe this year, and it's been safe the last 2 years. I think this year is the year. Mm-hmm. If anybody steps up, he's gone.
And let's be honest,
kind of where my mind is.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Spoon. No, you're good.
No, Goodwin's 32 years old, so definitely age could be against him. You know, as you get older, you're not the same as the year before, where you got these guys who, they stood in early 20s, and like P.O. was saying, with the speed he definitely has a good shot.
Cool. Well, awesome. So my path to him making the roster is beating out CJ Goodwin, and y'all both kind of think there's an opportunity there. So opportunity is all you need, right? That's what you want for in this league. Get a chance to have opportunity, you got to walk through the door. For me, that's Coyle's path to making this team. I think he has to knock out CJ Goodwin and take over that role. Now they could stash him in a couple. They've stashed CJ as a cornerback. They could stash him at linebacker. They could stash him in a couple of different ways if he's going to be that core special teams guy, and maybe with the opportunity to give you something on the field where CJ Goodwin hasn't. So that's, to me, an interesting battle behind the scenes that I've kind of thought about and look at is, can he do enough with the speed and the attributes that he has to remove CJ Goodwin? So interesting thing to watch on that front. Let's pivot over to our guy, Izzy. The super stretch Armstrong Izzy with all the length in the world. We actually talked about this a little bit in the space before we came on. I'm telling you right now, I'm supremely excited. This is the number one guy for me in the safety group that I want to see the growth from last year to this year. Having a full year, making the transition from corner to safety and where that plays out. So I'm super excited to see what Izzy does this year. What about you, O?
So I love Izzy. Last February, I tweeted out saying Israel Mukwamu is a Dan Quinn guy. Like he just looks exactly like the type of player Dan Quinn would like. In college, he was a cornerback. He started opposite of J.C. Horn, was pretty good at cornerback, then moved to safety and started playing that as the season went on his final year. Izzy has bulked up. One of my guys, Oliver Davis, I played high school football with him. He's one of the top defensive back gurus. You can check him out. I think it's IamOD3, I believe is his Twitter. But he works out with a lot of the top defensive backs in the country, both in terms of draft prospects and current NFL players. And Izzy has been at workouts with him with Eric Stokes, Jalen Ramsey, J.C. Horn, and a lot of other top defensive backs in the country. So he's out there doing everything he can to get better. The concern with Izzy from Kyle Yeomans when he was on A to Z Sports about a month ago is last year Izzy quite a few times in camp, preseason, and practice read a play perfectly and didn't look willing to make a tackle. He got in on the action, but he just didn't want to lower his shoulder and put his head down and make the play. So he was kind of slightly late. Like there was a slight hesitation. That's a mental thing. I think working with a defensive back coach like Joe Witt and Al Harris is something you can coach out of it. again, he's another, like we talked about Coyle, traits. Like, how many safeties can move and be a true coverage guy at 6'4"? Well, we know the answer because we have one we're going to talk about later. But the list is super small. Look across the league. There's not a lot of guys like that. So I think he's a guy that the Cowboys would love to keep. That safety force competition is going to be really intense this year with some of the guys we're going to talk about. I like Izzy. I really do. I would love to see him stick on the team. I think he has a good shot. He did have an interception in preseason last year, and again, he's put on weight this offseason. So we'll have to see, but Izzy's a guy that I'm really high on. I do think his spot is not safe, though. He's going to have a really good camp in preseason.
Right. And obviously he was a contributor on special teams last year. He needs to continue that moving forward as well. So Spoonie, Izzy, what do you think, man?
Well,
Mr.
I'll say this. He was the lone guy, the lone player for last season, the preseason, had an interception. Got hyped him for that too. But here's the kicker. When I look at Izzy, I trust Dan Quinn. Why? Well, he had another big safety in the Seattle days that when it was winning championship. Not saying that Izzy's going to be like him, but let me get that out. I'm not saying he's going to be Cam Chancellor, but Dan Quinn knows how to work with those with big safeties. And, with DeMonte Casey now not on the squad, of course, we didn't get to Donovan Wilson yet, but compete with Donovan Wilson, he does have a chance to have a role on this defense. And of course, special teams. So I'm rooting for the guy. Listen, you can't, when you have height like P.O. said, and you can move around the way you can move around, that's sick. It's all about just putting you in the right place, in the right spots, just to be effective. So I definitely can't wait to see how you play this season. I
have one real quick comment before Nick closes it out. And I hope I'm not saying something you're going to say, and if so, feel free to elaborate on the short version.
It's all
what I like about Izzy and why I think he does have a very good argument in the room is we have a lot of guys that are strong safeties. I think Izzy is a free safety. I know he's big, so people want to lump him in saying he's Jaron Curse. I don't think he's Jaron Curse. I think he's a center fielder free safety.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm right there with you. I was going to kind of touch on that, but no, I'm right there with you. That's where I was at. Is the other thing for him having an opportunity here is the free safety side of things, and not some of these other guys we're going to talk about in the strong side, or maybe in that big nickel coming down. That's another thing for him as well that matters. And with the length, makes you even a better center fielder, because if you're a step slow, you got a little bit of length to you, and things can happen. So again, excited to see his growth. Excited to see him from last year to this year. Make sure you P's and Q's there, Izzy, on the special teams, and let's see that growth and move forward. Now let's get to everybody's guy that they want to talk about. Spoonie done dumped last year. Spoonie was all about Coyle. Spoonie just told y'all, Coyle, nah. New year, new Spoonie. We had him here, one of the official 30 visits. He went undrafted. We paid a little extra money to make sure he didn't land over there in Philly. Mr. Marquise Bell, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, interception extraordinaire. Took it to the house, right? Obviously, at the rookie mini camps, and 70-yard interception. People are hyped. Spoonie, your new man crush. So I'm gonna let you get off, sir, on Mr. Bell.
Man, Philly almost had him. Damn it! Wow. But I'll tell you this. Anytime we all love the draft, and the conversation amongst fans was, he went undrafted. I mean, and every fan base, for what I know, want them to be signed onto the team. And thankfully, he joined the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, there's no mistake that they do their homework to look at the roster and see, do I have an opportunity to compete, with somebody who may lose a spot. That's just how undrafted free agency works. But this kid came in there. He made impact, as far as minicamp for what it is, it's minicamp. But the thing is that once minicamp is over, you want to have these coaches have these conversations about, going to training camp. I like what this kid is doing, X, Y, and Z. There are things that we don't know about that only the staff knows about. I'm pretty sure they're really high on this kid. I really do think he may unseat somebody. In my opinion, anytime a player can make a small impact on short time with a team, mini camp, whatever you're doing, when it comes to training camp, I feel he's going to do a lot more. And it's going to be that conversation when they get into that meeting room. What are we going to do about Bell? He needs to get in more. And I think that's what Bell's going to show on this team. So we got a gem, in my opinion.
Okay. Professor O, the undrafted Bell.
So Bell is an interesting guy. He's super interesting. So for those that don't know, Bell was originally committed to go to Maryland. He was enrolled at Maryland, had an off-the-field issue, got suspended, and then transferred to A&M where he ended up playing. So Bell from an athletic profile, top-notch. Bell from a production standpoint, top-notch. I think it was 2 years ago he had the big interception year. Last year didn't have the interceptions, but had more tackles, more forced fumbles. He's a guy that can do a lot. Bell is possibly going to kick Donovan Wilson off the roster. And let me retract that. Bell is going to kick Donovan Wilson off the roster in the future. Will it be this year? I don't know. It's the last year of Wilson's contract. I don't think this year, but they like Bell. Dan Quinn made a comment earlier in camp or in OTAs saying, we have to ask questions when we draft a guy like Bell. Do we see him at safety? Do we see him at linebacker? And people immediately said, he's going to play linebacker. He's going to play linebacker. He's not going to play linebacker. He's going to be a safety who can play big nickel. If you see what Jaron Kearse did, that's what Dan Quinn's envisioning. He's not going to be a linebacker, so don't put him in your linebacker room when you get to your 53-man roster cut down later. But he has traits where he could play a lot of different spots. I like him. I don't love him yet because I want to see what he does on the field. He's coming from a little bit smaller competition, but still a D1 school, played against some top talent there. And had he stayed at Maryland, who knows? Maybe he would have been a higher pick due to the school that he played at. But he's a guy that I'm excited about. I do want to caution fans because I think the fervor for him right now is like through the roof. I would caution you guys, probably not going to see that exploding on the scene year one, but he's a guy that year 2 or 3 could take a huge step forward.
Yeah, Nashawn Wright comes to mind in kind of the hype that happened, the OTA, the interceptions, things were happening, and it was like, we got us one. And look, he's on the team. He's going to be here. He's going to be competing. Same thing with Bell. You know, undrafted guy, take your time. Make the squad. That's what we want to see. And if you're able to contribute, great. Obviously, not to spend a draft pick on him and be able to get him. I don't know how many times, I've never looked this stat up. Maybe I need to look it up, that you bring in an official visit on your top 30 and then you end up getting him via undrafted. So a huge check mark for them and a guy that they really liked enough to bring in and interview and ended up scoring here without spending any draft capital. So that's big. I'm excited to see where he's at when we get to training camp and we get more eyes and see how he's going to mold and mesh into this. So again, the excitement is understandable, but as Professor O just said, hey, P, just ease off the gas just a little bit on him. Let's see where he's at. Let's put, as old Big Tuna Bill Parcells used to say, man, just put the anointing oil away. Let's see some snaps. Let's get some pads on. Let's see where he's at and how they can coach him up. But reason to be excited for sure, which does bring us to the next guy. And these guys, I started it this way to get to this guy because Wilson has a lot of problems on his hands currently, in my opinion. And the way that Dan Quinn has came in here, has added to the position. And remember, he was the starter last year until he got hurt, and then Kearse walked through the door and basically took it from him. And what they've continuously to add to this position and how they're attacking it, he doesn't have a sponsor in the room. He's oft injured. He can't have, like, this particular training camp. If he gets hurt in that 4 to 6 week range, it's probably ugly for him. They'll probably just say, you know what, IR, that way you can still be on the roster, quote unquote, and we'll use you being off the roster next year as the comp pick evaluation side of things is kind of where I'm at. He needs to have a big thing. Now, our guy Tyler was on. I'm not Tyler, excuse me. Stevie J. Shout out to our guy Steve, Mr. Due Diligence over there on Twitter. And he brought up a good point. We talk about the big nickel and maybe in the Keanu Neal way of things being out. Maybe Wilson needs to carve his path into what Keanu Neal was last year on this team. And maybe that's a path for him to make this team. Again, it's interesting in that standpoint of he has to do a little bit more than just play safety possibly to make this squad and how they built it. But with that being said, Professor O, Donovan Wilson for you, I mean, he's going to get up out of here, whether it's this year or next year. You already said it. But if you want to expound on his game and what he can bring to the table, obviously he's the backup to more of the Kirsch lane than the Hooker lane and so on.
Yeah, so Wilson was a guy coming off 2020, late in the year, came on, and people were really excited about him. They thought Wilson's going to be, our safety of the future. The concern I have with Wilson is even now, this point in his career, I don't know what safety he is. I don't know if he's really a strong safety or really a free safety. And when there's still questions and preferences. When he played at Texas A&M, he played both strong safety and free safety. In the NFL, he's played both strong safety and free safety. So that's great when you're a backup. You're that swing guy who can play either spot. We can move you around. There's versatility. That's great. Versatility is a great thing when you're a down roster guy. And even when you're a starter, if you're a fringe starter, then yeah, it could be great. But when you have a Malik Cooker who's clearly better than you at free safety, and you have Jaron Kearse who's clearly better than you at strong safety, and you're a safety 3, it's a good dynamic. If you want to be a safety of the future who's a starting caliber player that I think the Cowboys would invest money into re-signing, you have to have a role or a path. You don't have a sponsor in the room. You've had lots of injury issues. Last year in minicamp, he didn't have an injury issue. He had a personal matter that he missed a lot of time for. And there were questions on, does he really love football? I'm not saying he doesn't, but questions were popping up around the media circle that there was talk of that. Then he got injured, never reclaimed his spot. I think he's absolutely safe this year. I don't think he'll get kicked off the team. And I think he will make some splash plays for us. But I think he's a guy that there's not much debate next offseason. He's gone. Unless he steps up somehow in a big way, showing I have a definitive role on the roster. Because right now, I don't know what that is. Like you mentioned, and Stevie pointed out, maybe he could take a Keanu O'Neal role and kind of slide into that hybrid linebacker. Maybe he's just going to be the backup for Jaron Kearse, who's a safety 3 for Big Nickel. I just don't know. When I watched the Eagles game, he looked better playing free safety than strong safety, but any other game, he's looked better as a strong safety. So, Eddie, we're talking about Donovan Wilson right now. I know the graphic with him being number 37 might throw you off because he was number 6 last year, but he was originally 37. So, Donald's an interesting guy because he's had some splash moments. He's just not been consistent. He's had too many injuries, and I don't think he has a clear spot in terms of future. So I think he's safety 3 this year, maybe even safety 4 this year, and off the team after that.
Yeah, I do agree with P.O.
Donovan Wilson for you?
Sorry? DJ? Please frozen again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you go.
No, I'm good.
Yeah. With Donovan Wilson, in my opinion, it's like what P.O. said. P.O. said, if it's not this year, it's next year. Yeah, definitely next year, in my opinion. The thing with Donovan Wilson is that if something was to happen to Kearse or Malik Cooker, he's the safest guy there. There'll be no one to hold it down until the guys come back. Yes, Bell, minicamp. Like I said, unless Bell comes in there and really, makes this coaching staff have a conversation in that meeting room about him, Donovan Wilson is the safest thing to have, and it helps his team take their time with Bell for next season, in my opinion. Listen, he's had experience on his football team. As Cowboy Nation, we all know that we was banging the table for him to be a starter under Garrett, but that never happened. Even with the preseason, with the 6 interceptions, I remember Brian Broaddus coming on and saying, "Listen," on the radio, he said, "Donovan Wilson's buried on the depth chart. Unless it's multiple injuries, he is buried on the depth chart." That's what it was.
Yeah, I remember. Because I tweeted at Brian, and Brian was like, there's not enough injuries for him to come back. I'm like, all right, say less.
Yeah. So it was that bad. He didn't really have that fair shake. But then, like P.O. just came out and said, the year that Dak got hurt was a scary year. Wilson was coming in and out. They were not too sure about how they was going to use him, even though he was banging on the head with that one right there. So, he, like BJ said, he doesn't have a sponsor in the room. He's the odd man out. Everybody who's had a hand in the guys that are being picked are rooting for their guys. So he's going to have to really come in and really make that coaching staff change their tune about him.
Right. And Mendoza, the mod extraordinaire. trade piece. Here's
Yes.
the only sponsor that he has in the room is Stephen Jones, because he has an expiring contract. And Stephen Jones wants to look at that towards the comp pick formula equation, how that's going to fold forward. So trade piece, if back to what Spoon was saying, if a Bell or someone just like, yo, I'm here and we're good, possible. But boy, the way the Cowboys have traded or couldn't trade certain pieces, maybe. I think he's at least solid for this year because it's the last year of his deal, barring the injury. If the injury stuff kind of comes up and creeps up, I'm not really sure he's going to be safe at that point. So it's something interesting to watch as they get into camp, for sure. And of course,
I think right now he's just safe. Sorry, I was just going to finish it off with this. I don't think they would trade him solely because, as mentioned, being that safety 3 with position flex where he could play either spot, he's potentially the Malik Hooker break glass in case of emergency. In case Hooker's injury reoccur, your choices at free safety are Bell, who's not really a free safety but probably could play it, but he's not really a free safety, Izzy Mukwamu, who's a young guy, or Dono, who has some experience starting. So I think they would like him just for insurance purposes on a cheap contract.
Yeah, for sure. And look, and even to some of the big nickels, because we saw it last year at times where it was KZ, Hooker, and Kershaw on the field. You can get to that with Wilson, for sure.
Yeah.
So there's some things that they can do there. Wilson's got to walk through the door, though, in a big way and dot the I's and cross the T's this offseason or this training camp, more so than years past, in my opinion. But that does bring us to our guy, who, if y'all missed out earlier, just got here talking about who is going to be number 2 in interceptions behind Diggs on this team. And it was a straight flush over here. All of us went with Hooker. So with that being said, Professor O, go ahead. Well, me and Sweeney going to sit back here. Hooker's our guy. Just go ahead and tell the people about Hooker. Just go ahead and tell them.
Yeah, I mean, Malik Cooker. So when we're talking about center fielders, it's easy to think, okay, this is a guy who's just going to, roam midfield, get interceptions, deflect passes. And if that was all it was, phenomenal. Lovely. He's not just that, though. Malik Cooker can play in the box. Malik Cooker can set the edge. He did it against San Francisco, which is really annoying because it was one of his best plays of the season. He came up and absolutely lit up a lead blocker just to see Debo reverse and cut across field and LVE not contain, and they ended up scoring on the play. But if you watch that play, which I know the game's tough to watch, and you watch Malik Cooker, it's probably the best job anybody on our entire defense did last year on setting the edge. From a safety standpoint, it was great. It was beautiful. If you played defensive back, you'd appreciate it. And his teammates were, jogging, and we got burned by it. But again, he's a guy who can tackle. He can hit. He can play in the box. He can play deep. He offers a lot. KZ was a guy who can play just deep and obviously took some bad angles last year, but started out the year hot. Hooker's a do-it-all guy. If he can just stay healthy, which is the big if, he's in for a huge year in Dallas.
Yeah, and enough can be said about the Cowboys not rushing him to play last year, allowing him to get fully healthy and slowly and incrementally build his role up towards the end of the season. I think that spoke volumes how they handled it. It also got that confidence back in him too, I feel. And Spoony, you talked about this a lot last year. We know the talent's there. Where was he drafted again, Spoon?
15 by the Colts.
First round guy. Yeah, first round guy. Yeah. And we saw the glimpses towards it just the end of the year and how they handled it. I think that goes a long way because the confidence is back and the health is back. So Spoony, Hooker, how are we feeling?
Well, we all know he'll play. He'll give 100% effort on this team. We know that. And he doesn't wear number 25. I think that's another good thing. But listen, Malik Hunter at one point was a top 10 safety in his first 2 years of his career with the Colts before the injury started settling in. And that was the one guy that I had came out and said that in free agency, when BJ had gave me a question 4 years ago, right before Hooker was signed, and he asked, like I said, out of all the guys that I hear, honestly, with Simmons on that Hooker, if healthy, is the best one in my opinion, and we got him. I really do think he's going to make an impact on this defense. I think he's going to be that intercepting guy. We're going to hear his name being called for his ball hooking skills, but we know what he can bring. It was a good thing that they rested him. You know, we had the COVID year, his first year on the team. It was basically about him being redshirt to play this season coming up, which was a great thing. And I think with Hooker and the guy that we're about to talk about later on, we may have, in my opinion, the top 5 safety tandems in the NFL. You know, I'm excited about this. Listen, you know, if you go to Cowboy history, we talk about safeties. You know, Roy Williams coming out, what was it, pick number 5, I believe, by Dallas, coming out of Texas, and you know he was a very highly safety at that time. And another guy that round, I haven't seen anybody come out with the ball skills like Malik Hooker in a minute, just in my opinion. And hopefully this year we'll see that.
Right. And I don't think enough's been talked about. Everything that's been going on during the offseason and draft and OTAs and rookie minicamp, I just don't think enough has been talked about Hooker and the impact he can have this year coming up. Because of the talent that he has, that we're kind of perceiving that he's going to walk through that door. We saw it towards the end of last year, being healthy, second year into the system. I think he's going to, if he's healthy, if he stays healthy and that path stays the same, I think he'll have a huge impact on this defense next year. Because as good as Curse was, Casey was good at times. Casey started out hot, and there was times, but it was never complete back there. I think that completes it. He's a great counterpiece to what Curse is, right? So I'm super excited for Hooker. I think it's the sky's the limit for him this year. I think we'll have to be like, wow, Hooker, where did he come from? Back from the dead. And look, Stephen Jones has got to hit one sooner or later. High, right? It fits the mold. High talent, a little bit of injury issues, whatever. We're going to bring you in cheap and hope we hit. And maybe he finally hit the lotto. He finally got the full 6 digits and hit the lotto here with Hooker. I'm super excited for Hooker. Last word on Hooker before we switch over to the guy. Anybody else?
I'm just going to say,
yeah, no?
Yeah, real quick. So Spoonie said he thinks we have a top 5 safety duo. I think we have a top 3 safety duo.
I love P.O. this is, man. Ooh, I love P.O., man. Ooh.
I don't think it's a hot take either. I mean, there's not a lot of good safeties in the NFL in general, and there's not a lot of teams that have 2 good ones. The Bills are probably up there with Micah Hyde and Poyer. There's not a lot of teams that you could say both safeties are really good players. And the Cowboys had Curse play at a near all-pro level, which we're going to talk about next. Should have been a Pro Bowler for sure. And then Hooker, who has that potential and played really well as the season went on. So, yeah.
Man, you're going to get Spoonie
Top
way
3.
too excited,
You heard it.
bro. Yeah, you're going to get Spoonie way too excited. Oh, don't do it. Spoonie's going to give us a sermon anyways before it's time. But, of course, we got to talk about the man now, though. We got to go ahead and talk about the man now, though. Mr. J-Ron Curse. Mr. Green Dot, if you will. Coming back into the fold. We had the space. I talked about it. I asked the question: Randy Gregory or J-Ron Curse? You can only bring one back. Who is it? There was a lot of Gregory. There was a couple. There was a couple of those Curses. Your guy next was Curse. I'm like, between the two, before everything in the debacles that happened,
Y'all two only. The only one.
Give me Curse. Green dots matter, and you understand once he got the green dot, how it unlocked everything else on this defense, especially for a Micah Parsons. Man, we got to make it happen. And I'm glad they got him back. I'm excited about what his growth's going to be within this system. Came close. One of the most amazing interceptions of last season he had in the NFL, by the way. He got robbed in LA against the Chargers because that should not have been a penalty. But
Phantom
man,
PI.
the super Phantom. But the best thing I could probably say about him in general for us in Cowboys land is this. Man, we used to get cooked by tight ends. Honey roasted. It was just bad. There's a good tight end on deck. We're like, it's a problem. And literally he came out and was basically the eraser. On top of everything else that he did well for us last year. So I can't say enough about J-Ron Curse. I'm super excited. We have been campaigning to get safety play here. It matters. Me in general, I believe down the middle. I believe D tackles, linebackers, safeties. That's what you have to do to have a great defense. Is down the middle is what you have to do. And I feel like the Cowboys have finally checked those boxes to almost satisfactory extent. I'm a little worried about the one sack, but that's a different conversation for a different time. I do think with the Parsons and on the back end, we're talking about Mr. Curse. Slam dunk. I'm happy he's here. I'll shut up and let y'all go now, but I gotta sit here and talk about Curse a long time, but we'll just sit here and keep going. So I can't say enough about Curse. Go ahead, Spoon.
Well, Theo, if you allow me to, because I want to start this out
All
first.
yours.
I have to
All
give
yours.
credit where credit is due. You know, a long time ago, Spoonie was with the hashtag route X, Y, with all safeties. P.O. said, listen, Spoon, come into my classroom, right, with Mendoza. Mendoza was his assistant, right? And they sat Spoon down. I'm sitting down like, what's going on? We're going to transition your mindset. We're going to save you, Spoon. And they saved me. You know how they saved me? They said, we have a safety in that free agency that we're going to get. If we get that, man, this, that, and a third is going to happen. Mendoza, what I always say, understand this. Understand this, man, right? The best football game, and I've been to plenty on the road, but the best one I've ever been to was going to DC last season, the Cowboys. I was right behind Cowboys bench. The Cowboy fans, we broke that stadium. The pipes were broken because of us. Not because it was walled down. We did that. We overcrowded that stadium. And on that sideline, listen, I know I was not on NFL films, but Javon Curse is that dog. And I'm telling you, he kept the guys in the game. He challenged the guys. They had a lot of accountability. Michael Parsons dropped the pick. Javon, yo, what's the deal? Michael went on the floor, did some push-ups. Okay? Him and Malik Hooker jogging back and forth with the fans. I mean, this guy is a dog. I don't want him gone. Certain guys you got to keep because he's contagious. His dogness. I don't know if that's a
Dogness.
word.
It's a word now.
It's a word. F it.
Hashtag
His
it.
dogness.
Dog this. Hashtag it.
It's contagious. So contagious. And it's like these guys are hitting through the walls. And I'm going to say this. I am free from hashtag route because of Mendoza and P.O. It has shown me the way. And I'm going to say this right here. I want Javon Curse to get the C on his jersey. I want him to have that C on his jersey on that defense.
Hey, look at that picture. Look at that picture. Yeah, he got a little C
Oh.
over there. Don't worry. Yeah.
Oh,
you see it.
man.
By all means, Professor O, speak about this dogness.
Yeah. So the thing about dogness, right? Nick's brought up, he's the green dot. Ryan Clark brought it up last year, how rare it is to have your safety be your green dot in the defense, especially a free agent safety, especially a guy who is not a starter for a long point in his career. It's not like he's a guy that had 8 or 9 years of being a top flight safety under his belt, and then the team brings him in as a high priority free agent, giving him a big deal. That might be a different story. The fact that the Cowboys coaching staff thought that highly of him that early into the year, this isn't like week 14, this is like week 4 or 5 or something, where they put the green dot. I think it was week 5. They gave him the green dot. The amount of confidence that they have on him. What'd you say? Patriots game. So week 6 then, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. So the fact that they put that much confidence in a guy that you brought in as a free agent at a less than $1 million contract, that really shows his understanding and knowledge from a football standpoint. Then you have a guy who's a tight end eraser. So check 1. He is a leader of your defense because he's your green dot. Check 2. He can shut down tight ends. That's if that was the only thing we could say about him, he would already be valuable. But we also are adding in that he can shut down tight ends and he is the leader of your defense. 3, dogness is a thing. Dog mentality is the whole thing. Last year was dog mentality. We need guys that are culture changers. We need guys that can change this defense, add some tenacity to it, be that big hitter. J-Ron Curse, run hit, talk shit. That was J-Ron Curse. J-Ron Curse on the sideline in front of Washington. We want Dallas, making fun of their fans. He's the guy in the huddle before the game, before kickoff, that's hyping up the defense. Micah Parsons and other players did it too, but that's something he did. You want to talk about numbers because I'm a stat guy? He missed 4 tackles last year, had 101 tackles. That's 3.8% missed tackle rate. Phenomenal. Want another number? LVE, 8 career tackles for losses. Linebacker, 8 career tackles for losses. Jaron Kearse last year, 9. Our safety had more tackles for loss last year than LVE, a first-round pick's entire career. Think about that. Let that sink in for a second. So the fact that, and I don't want to give Stephen Jones kudos, but I'm going to here because the contract we got Jaron Kearse for is ridiculous.
Criminal.
Ridiculous. PFF did not list Jaron Kearse in their top 10 safeties for this year. NFL executives did not list Jaron Kearse in their top safeties for this year. They didn't even list him in their top 20. I think he was number 22 or 23. And Jaron tweeted, because he's that guy and has that dogness that Sweeney talked about, there's no way there's 22 safeties better than me in the NFL. I guarantee you,
Ain't no way.
after this season, if he has anything close to the season he had last year, he'll be a Pro Bowler. He may be an All-Pro, and he'll definitely be in the top 10 list next year because of what he does. There's just not safeties in the league, not Jamal Adams, across the board. Tackles for a loss, coverage stats. Jamal Adams is not a green dot. I'm not saying that Jamal Adams is not a great player, but if you're looking at it in a vacuum just last year, Jaron Kearse was better than Jamal Adams across the board. So, yeah, I'm pretty much as high as you can be on him right now. In last offseason, to be fair, when people were looking at him saying, why did we sign Jaron Kearse? Because we brought in Kearse, Malik Cooker, and KZ all the same day. Kearse was the first signing. People flipped out. And I'm like, well, there's the George Edwards connection. Our linebacker coach was his defensive coordinator in Minnesota. He played as the third safety and played both free safety and strong safety. So he's versatile. Then he went to Detroit and played strong safety. Didn't really work out. Luckily for us, because he came to Dallas on a cheap deal. And I thought, absolute worst case scenario, he's going to be a core special teams guy because he's been that his whole career. He has great size and length, and he has an attitude to him. So I don't see any way he doesn't help our safety room. And the conversation last year was, is our safety room better by signing him? Yes, absolutely, because there's no question he's better than Darian Thompson. There wasn't last year. Before the season started, he was an upgrade over Darian Thompson.
Spooney. Don't bring up that name, Spooney's going to get triggered.
So I'm just saying, and I'm going to wrap it up now, but last year, he was already an improvement over Darian Thompson before he played a snap in Dallas because of what he had already done in his career. The fact that he did what he did last year exceeded my expectations, and I was already high on him. I didn't expect him to do what he did, so shout out to him. Having that ability to say, I got my opportunity. I'm in Dallas. I have a huge market. I'm going to not just walk through the door, but explode through that door. Great. Let's see it again. He'll definitely be a top 10 guy for everybody in the league if he keeps it up. So, yeah.
He brings a dog mentality, Eddie-O, but
he brings dogness.
But he brings dogness. But outside of that, the stats are on there. The stats are up there on the overlay, right? On top of that, look, leader doing his thing as he showed. Professor O talked about the tackling and the percentage of misses and what he meant. Go line up the tight ends that he played against last year. Go look at the stats. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's there. Oh, I know Eddie-O. Yeah.
Dallas Goedert, Kelsey, Waller. Like, we played some of the best tight ends in the league last year.
And let's honest with
But yes, Eddie-O, it's not just a dog. It's dogness.
Hold on one second, y'all.
I know Eddie. Go ahead. We gotta get it up there and play it again there, Spoon.
All right.
Go quick. Give you one more.
And see, that's the accountability. It's not about blaming anybody. Lock it in. You know what I'm saying? We're going to come together. We're going to wreck stuff. And I'm going to tell you this right here. Knowing the guy Jaron Kearse is, okay, I don't have an issue where if you feel like you're better than the next man. But he never put out a list of who he's better than. He just said, there's not 23 safeties better than me. They put that in that locker. Every Cowboy player right now, you know, there's a lot of them, who's being criticized, whether by numbers or whatever it is, they're taking that to the locker. I love it. All that energy, they're gonna fold it right in there and use it around the field. And then they're gonna do the talking. And then we're gonna really see the accountability, what they're gonna say after that. I can't wait for this upcoming season. I really can't. And you know, P.O. said top 3 safety tandem. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. When was the last time we had a top 3? I said top 5. I was being P.O. with the spice said top 3. That was got me even spicier.
I don't think it's spicy. I really don't. I really don't think that's a spicy take.
Handle? When? I could think of maybe one time, maybe had not even. We had Ken Hadley and Donovan Wilson. That was about it. That was a combo.
It's been a while.
There. Oh, Donovan Wilson and Roy Woodland at the time. I mean, that was short.
Yeah.
So I have a question for the chat. So you guys heard us talk about safeties. You guys chimed in the whole time, so appreciate your interaction. Are Malik Cooker and Jaron Kearse a top 3, top 5 safety duo in the league?
Are they? Yeah, facts. And Eddie, with the last time the Cowboys had a top 25 safety group. It's been a while. You know, it's been a while.
What's funny is you can even remove the group and say, how often in the last 10 years has Dallas even had a top 25 safety, much less group?
Maybe Church a little bit. Church kind of maybe
Church
could have
was
been.
good. Yeah, Sensabaugh was okay. Like, he had some
moments.
decent years. But
Sensabaugh has some moments, but yeah, the tandem though. Oh no, we haven't had this kind of tandem for sure. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So yeah, man, it's exciting. It's exciting. We got a top 10 from Sam on your question. Repeat the question for one more time.
So Spoonie mentioned that he believes Malik Cooker and Jaron Kearse are a top 5 safety duo in the league. I said I think they're top 3. My question to the chat is, are they top 3 or 5 for you guys too? You don't have to rank it, just somewhere in the top 3 to 5.
I'm there. I'm there because I think Cooker is the guy flying underneath the radar. Is going to just explode back to what he was at one point with the health being back right now and the way that they developed him. And I expect Kearse just to keep doing what he's doing. You know what I mean? I just do. I don't see the fall off. I think it's going to be better. Roberts with the brotherhood is a big factor. Number 1 duo in the building. Texas, yes, top 5. Mendoza says, I had to look at other teams, but I'd say top 10 off the rip before looking. That's exciting stuff. Coming,
just off the top of my head, Minnesota has Harrison Smith and Lewis Seen. Seen's a rookie, so we don't know. The Seattle Seahawks have Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs. The Bills have Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. That's probably in my opinion, that's one of the better ones. The Titans have a good duo with Byard and I forget the other safety, but he's pretty good too. There's just not a lot of teams that have 2
what about
really
the Dolphins?
Good safeties.
Dolphins have your boy Holland.
Yeah, they have Javon Holland, but who's the other safety?
Yeah, that was Sam
Holland
on the other side of him. Yeah, I'm with you.
And then the Steelers have Minka Fitzpatrick, but I don't know who their other safety is either off the top of my head. They had Terrell Edmonds. I don't think he's back though, so they have KZ now. Right. So actually it's KZ and Minka Fitzpatrick and Steelers. I don't think that's a better duo. So
the Saints, I believe Marcus Williams and
Marcus May.
Yeah.
No, Williams left though. Williams went to the Ravens.
Oh, he did. So he did.
Yeah, so they have Marcus May and somebody else.
Yeah, somebody else. That's right.
Well, it's for the safeties for the Dolphins is Devon Holland and Brandon Jones, and then
I don't think that's a better duo.
Right. Then you said for the Steelers. For the Steelers right now, it is
Minka KZ,
Patrick and Terrell Edmonds.
Well, they signed KZ too, so either way, whatever combo there, I don't think that's a better duo.
Yeah, Adderley and Darrell and James provided the health of Long James. Definitely another good one.
Yeah, they're up there.
ADO. Yeah, definitely. Chargers are up there for sure.
Yeah, Marcus May and Tyron Matthews.
Oh yeah, I forgot we got the Honey Badger. Yeah, they got May and the Honey Badger.
And his list. First time he seen uniform, both of them never played together. So, I mean,
right? Yeah, big fact. The other side too, as we went through this whole safety position, I'm comfortable with the back end too. Like I'm comfortable with the depth. right? I understand like Donovan Wilson's obviously has the most, experience, but I'm comfortable with the other guys as well that are there. But we talked about the Bells, right? And we're talking about Izzy McClamu. I'm comfortable in general with what they have depth-wise behind the hooker and Curse on this roster. So on some of these position breakdowns we've done, we're a little bit worried about some of the depth issues. I feel pretty good about the depth here at this position. What about you?
Oh, I feel great. I feel BJ. Well, this is the 4th year together, and when it was slowly time with BJ, when we all sat around, when BJ had the book, and he told us you have to be able to take away the middle of the field from your opposing team, right?
In between the hashes.
The fatties, we got the fatties, right? We said the linebackers, we have the linebacker. We still need that, but we have to start a linebacker there. And you said we need at least a safety. Well, we got a bunch of that. I mean,
we do.
I'm too excited. The depth is great. I don't think they need to improve that area. I know there's somebody made a Jesse Bates comment, but there's no need for that, in my opinion. I think we're very good right there. And that's going to be one of the biggest strengths for this team. I mean, look, let's be honest. If you got Malik Cooker coming back to form, the way we expected him to come out, the way he got drafted by the Colts in the first round, and he has the tools to do it. You got Diggs back there. I mean, that's half a field. It's more part of the field you're going to get.
10-4.
9 times out of the 10, that ball is going to that ball could be very well be intercepted going the other way. So when we got ball hawks back there, not one, but we got really 2 ball hawks back there. That is huge. That is huge. A corner and a free safety, that's huge. So, I just listen, I'll be honest with you. I had came out and said that I think Denver Broncos will have a top secondary. I think the Cowboys are right there with them. Right there.
I just want to.
I like it.
I think that's too. They have if you look at the safety duo, they have Pat Surtain, which we were all high on last year. I do want to say to Roger real quick. Maybe you misread their contracts, but both Hooker and Curse signed 2-year deals, so they'll definitely be back next year. So I don't know if we'll keep them after 2023, but they're under contract for 2 years each.
That's great. That's huge.
Yeah, man.
Man, sky's the limit.
Yeah. Shout out to Stephen Jones locking that up. Okay, I got away with a shout out to Stephen Jones and then get cussed out. Sweet.
I can't argue. Like both
saying,
contracts were team friendly. We got them in the first place, and they were both team friendly. So he inked 2 guys that we're saying is a top 3 safety duo for a 3-year span for pennies. Like, I'm not gonna give him a ton of props, but he crushed that one.
Right.
Yeah. Look, the Gallup deal. Crushed the Gallup deal, right?
Huh? Listen.
We'll turn to the Stephen Jones love section for a second. I'm about to get cussed
got to
in
give
this
him
comment
some credit.
section.
We do got to
start going down the list here like, hey.
Carlos Watkins.
We got an undrafted guy. Look how cheap he is starting at right tackle. Come on, guys. And everyone says he was better than Collins anyways. I mean, what's that contract look like?
Listen, when it comes to
Professor,
draft,
O's giving me the look. I'm gonna stop now. Professor O's giving me the death stare. Wait till you give this. I'm gonna be messaging you.
I gave him credit. There were some moves that I'm like, that's the problem though, is his mindset is not wrong. Like, if you have an expensive player that's not, his idea is not wrong. It's that he doesn't ever want to put the chips in. And we talked about that the last year too. Yeah. This is the second year of us talking about it. It's okay to sit out and not be a big player in free agency. It's okay to not be super active in the trade market, but you have to sometimes do it. That's the issue I have with Stephen Jones. I think a lot of what he does, he's right on. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of the Dak Prescott one's the biggest one where I'm like, we should have been out in front of that a long time ago. That's a big whiff on his part. But there's a lot of deals where I'm like, I don't have a problem with that one. I don't have a problem with bringing Gallup back, especially for half of what Jacksonville gave to Christian Kirk. He's made some good moves. It's just that there's never – if you're like, we're going to sit out this year, but next year we're going to be active. Or we're going to sit out usually, but we're going to go after that one guy. We just don't do that one thing. And that's my biggest issue with him. But overall, he's not horrible at his job.
Yeah. even like the biggest thing like this year, right? So whatever happened with the Gregory situation, we're not going to rehash that. But they turned around and did offer the same contract to,
Von Miller.
But Von Miller.
Right.
Would you win up for Von Miller? Like, okay, you're going to go get a guy. The money is available there. Like right then and there for Steven, that's the opportunity that we're kind of talking about in this stretch of the things went. You can make it happen. You can get it done. And they just didn't do it. And those are the things that I was talking about and what we talk about a lot here. Green Bay is kind of a perfect example of that. They're not always big spenders in free agency, but every once in a while, like, okay, we're going to get some guys. And we just never have that moment with Dallas of just going to get some guys. We have to go get the curses and the hookers, and it pans out great. It's never going to get the guy. And the Von Miller thing, it still sticks with me a little bit just because we knew, look, if you go back and heard the story before he got drafted, he literally told him, it was like, hey, come get me. But he had to like dial it back because where we were drafted, it wasn't going to happen. So he had to kind of dial it back a little bit. So he wanted to come here, and it was there, and it could have happened, but they just offered him the same deal as Randy Gregory. Well, he wasn't going to take that. You could have went up. He would have less than what he ultimately, but if for that less. So it's one of those, okay, swing and a miss. But
see, I'm cool with that as the first offer. I'm totally cool with that as the first offer for Von Miller. Like if you want to say, hey, we already allotted this amount of money,
right?
How's $14 million a year sound? If he's like, no, I'm not doing that. You can't just say, oh, well, we tried. No. Say, what do you want? Okay, we can't do $21 million a year.
Yeah.
How about 16? That's the highest we can go. Like maybe they did that. I don't know. But what we know is they offered him 14. He said no. He took another offer. Maybe there were other arguments back and forth. But maybe say I can't do a 5-year deal. I'll give you the 18 million that you want, but let's make it a 3-year deal. Like there's probably a way we could have made that work. So that's my frustration. Like just saying, well, we tried. We gave him an offer is not good enough because that.
Right.
Same verbiage has been used so many times now. Well, we tried to get Jamal Adams. Seahawks just weren't going to trade him. We tried to get Earl Thomas. We tried to get Eric Weddle. Can't just keep trying and whiffing. Like, there's got to be a guy where you're like, whatever it takes, we want him. We're going to get him. He's going to be a Cowboy. We just don't, there's no whatever it takes here. So, yeah.
I'm sorry, froze it for a second. You good? Yo, you good?
I'm good.
Okay. Frozen for a second. Yeah, so, and
2 hour mark. So,
there we go.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
Yeah, it was kind of choppy for a second.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Spoon.
Yeah. So, to add on to what P.O. was saying, with Stephen Jones, listen, I that's all we want. We want, when there's an opportunity to get somebody to put us over the top, to have us compete in a high level, you got to go ahead and do that. As far as the drafting and the bargain shopping, guys like Javon Curse, guys like Malik Cooker, I give them credit for that. Those are guys that we trying to turn around their careers. And sometimes, I always say this to any player in the league, if you're in the NFL, you're not trash. Sometimes you just need a new avenue to go to just to restart your career all over again, because sometimes it's not you, is where you at. And that's just how it works. So I give him that type of credit, but damn, you just gotta go over the top and get that guy. Now, right now we're done with the draft. He says we're not done with free agency. There's a couple of guys that has been linked to the Cowboys, whether it's trade or free agency. I really want, if he's not feeling good about a certain position, I want you to go out there and do it. And we have seen him done in the past. We see him done it with the wide receiver committee, and then when it wasn't working the first couple of games of the season, he went out there and spent that first round pick on Cooper. What's this?
He's telling you not to give him praise because you don't want to get listed.
Oh no! I mean,
like
I'm
the other two suckers here with you.
I'm just. He gets some type of credit. Some, not all. We still want to see more.
To stop the praise train for him, to be completely fair, last year we got Carlos Watkins, DeMonte KZ, who was a serviceable safety, Malik Cooker, Jaron Curse, Keanu Neal, not a top-end linebacker, but he was decent enough. Basham, all of those guys combined were a big factor on our defensive change, and they all combined for less than $10 million last year.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. We've never done it again, just that 1 year. But that 1 year, you got to give him credit for it.
See, now.
No, we're not doing that. We did talk about that guy earlier in the show, by the way, but.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, we did. We did actually talk about it a little earlier, but.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I want to see the kid come in here and return kicks, see how he is at speed. I mean, but here's it though. Not everything is the biggest name. But again, let's be honest. When we hearing guys like Jalen Tolbert returning kicks, let's be honest. Do we want that? No, we ready to thin that receiver. We don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's moves like that. When there's a hole, let's try to improve that. Dominican school. I think we all be ecstatic if he add him to the roster. Why not?
Right.
It can only help the defense even more.
Yeah. Anything we can do to help the run defense, needs to be done for sure. And adding Sue in on a 1 year deal wouldn't hurt in the least, in my opinion. But that's a different conversation for a different time. Man, we've been rocking with y'all for now almost 2 hours, so it's getting a little late, especially for y'all folks on the East Coast. So we'll set sail here and put a pin in it. We're back next week, Wednesday, obviously, 8:30 p.m. Central. Hit the like, hit the sub, tell a friend. It's free 99. Also, Friday, we will have the Cowboys Happy Hour space on Twitter and Freestyle Friday right here. So make sure you mark the calendar, set it up. If you're subbed and followed all of us on Twitter, those are our Twitter handles right there. You can go follow us on Twitter. You won't miss out. And of course, if you follow, hit that bell, you'll definitely know when we're live and what we're doing here. So we'll see y'all for the Freestyle Friday for sure. And of course, each and every Wednesday throughout the training camp. We're right here rocking. So we appreciate y'all for coming through tonight. Last word real quick before we get out of here. Oh, Spoonie. Last word from y'all.
PO's crazy. Can you put a PO? Can you put a PO's the email? Try not to
Hey, I mean, just a smidge. I mean, not a whole lot. Just a smidge, Joe. Just a smidge. It's okay.
I mean, I need you guys to understand on Freestyle Friday. Understand this. Let me borrow one from Spoonie. Freestyle Friday last week, we had a great show. Super fun. Lots of people came to hang out with us. At the end of the show, they have me talking Rowdy or Seafoam Green Pants. Which one is worse? Which one am I willing to compromise? Now this show, not even a week later, you have me giving kudos to Stephen Jones. So I just don't know the direction of Pick Six Sports right now. I'm gonna have some deep contemplation on where we're going with this content. No, I'm just kidding. It's one of those things. We talk about it with players, whether it's Zeke or Tyron Smith or whoever. You have to acknowledge when they're playing good football, and you have to acknowledge when their name doesn't meet and reputation doesn't meet their current play. You can't pick and choose how you critique players. You have to be fair across the board. So if I'm going to bash Stephen Jones for when he's wrong, I need to give him credit for when he's right. If I'm going to bash Zeke for things I don't like, I need to give him credit for things he does well that I do like, or if he exceeded my expectations. So I'm just trying to be better Professor O this year than I was last year. And I want to just keep stacking good years on top of good years, good days on top of bad days, whatever Jason Garrett said. I'm just trying to evolve and make sure that I'm fair in my assessment with things. So now I went from Rowdy to Seafoam Green to Stephen Jones quoting Jason Garrett. So I don't know who I am right now. So that's all I got to say.
Things happen. It's early into this season. So who knows where we're going to go? Well, here's what we found out so far, right? So far, early in this season 4, we've already got hashtag let it hang. We have hashtag dogness. And now we have Professor O out here giving some credit, a little love to Stephen Jones. A little, not a lot, just a little, just a smidge. I don't know where this season is going to go. I have no clue. That's it's scary and exciting all at the same time. One thing's for sure, we finally got somebody to cancel the hashtag route because we have the right kind of safeties that we talked about tonight. We have the right kind of safeties here, the right kind of guys. Using some Jason Garrett talk there. Excuse me.
Some RKGs.
On some RKGs back there playing safety for us. Mayo, Edio, I see y'all asking about space.
Mendoza. Yes, that's true. Good point. Mendoza said, if Mo starts downplaying 12 personnel, we have a problem. Yeah.
Oh, never. Never. That's never going to happen around
that's
here.
my thing.
I
do want to give Nick some.
I
want to give Nick. No, Robert, let's not go there. I want to give Nick some props too, because Nick's told us his goal this year is to have the best hat game in the Cowboys nation. He brought out a tennis ball yellow hat one time. Now he's got the camo one. So just keep an eye on it. Sweeney has a new hat on too, by the way. Sweeney hasn't worn that one.
It's camo, but this is black and it's actually highlighter yellow. You can't really see it on the camera.
Can't really see it.
I'll take a picture and post it. Yeah, I'll take
I'm 36
a
now. I had a birthday since our last show, so I'm an old man. My eyesight's not what it used to be. So I can't really see what you have. To me, it looks like a black with a white outline, but it's a nice hat.
It does. I'll take a picture and update it on Twitter. Y'all can see it. It's actually a little highlighter. But yes, I am bringing the heat this year on the hat game. I got some things in the cut that I'm chilling on and waiting on. So it's going to be a fun time. So yeah, y'all can throw it out there and see what it is. And don't worry, Seafoam Green might make an appearance this year, Robert. You just gotta stay tuned. It might just make an appearance from the show.
Let me know ahead of time.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to. Look, I'm not going to tell you before I do it because I already know.
I'm having internet connection issues. I'm sorry.
I can't make it.
You know, I'd love to see. No, seriously, I would love to see that P.O. enters a Dallas Cowboy contest, right? And when he wins it, right? He has Howdy right there about to shake his hand. I just want to see P.O.'s reaction. How's he gonna look at
Have you ever watched that 90-Day Fiance show? Like the disdain that the women have when they meet them? Yeah. That's gonna be me with Rowdy the whole time. They're leaning away from him.
It's a fire hat text. That is a fire hat text.
Oh man.
Stephen Wilder back in. But yeah, with that being said, I see some of y'all want to run the space. Yeah, I'll get up out of here. It's 10:31. Give me 10 minutes. I'm gonna end here talking up with my guys. Give me about 10 minutes, and I'll launch over Rock on the Space for a little bit as well too. And then we can comment anything you got to say about the show tonight or anything else. Feel free to come over there and jump in. Spoony, you're coming along. I don't care. Professional's gonna go to bed. We know he's an adult. He's out there in Oxnard. He's got to go to bed. But Spoony, you're coming along. You're coming over there too. I ain't catching all this Stephen Jones, a little bit of love, some Garrett-isms and everything else. No, yes, Spoony, you're coming along too over there on the space as soon as we get up out of here. We'll catch you on the back end in 10 minutes. Make sure y'all subscribe and tell a friend to tell a friend, man. It's free 99. Peace.